D is silent here, baby.
You're listening to DMR.
I'll be throwing one of these in with every purchase of 500 million or more. It's a piece.
Welcome back to DMR. Thank you for tuning back in as always. Much obliged. So today I'm going to be reviewing one of the most anticipated films for 2023, which is none other than Napoleon, starring Joaquin Phoenix, Vanessa Kirby, and directed by Ridley Scott, one of my favorite directors. The runtime on this film is pretty decent. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes or thereabouts, but there is going to be a 4-hour version coming out on Apple, which is a very long time. So I'm interested to see what the 4-hour version will look like. So let's go over this war epic type film. But before we do, let's look at one of the immaculate looking suits from MJ Bales. Whoo-wee. So check out this stylish looking jacket, which is the Santo jacket and trousers, slim fit from MJ Bales. So part of MJ Bales Classics, the Santo jacket is created from superfine merino wool grown in the New England region of New South Wales. It is woven in Italy into a super 120s twill with a window pane check in light flannel finish. That is a bit of a mouthful. Cut to our slim fit, it features a half canvas construction and is fully lined. So this is a must for your MJ Bales collection. Jump on the website and check it out. So we've got the film Napoleon, starring Joaquin Phoenix and directed by Ridley Scott. So I was very surprised at the scoring on Rotten Tomatoes for this particular film. As we can see here on the screen, they're in the 60s with the audience score and the critic score. I don't agree with either of these scores. I feel it's much higher. So Joaquin Phoenix, one of the best actors of our generation. He's played in films like The Joker, The Master. He's also been in Gladiator as Commodus, the evil emperor, up against the gladiator, which was Russell Crowe. So Ridley Scott returns with Joaquin Phoenix to portray Napoleon Bonaparte in the late 18th century and early 19th century. And back in France, it was an absolute basket case with their royal family. They basically sacked their royal family back in the day. When I say sacked, they basically killed them. The film basically opens with the death of Mary Antoinette, the French queen. And just like the opening in Gladiator, it is goddamn well brutal. So the film basically goes in and out of battle scenes, and also Joaquin Phoenix portraying Napoleon in his personal life with his rise to power to become emperor. And it looks very, very good up on the screen. The cinematography is immaculate, as you would expect. And seriously, this film, I feel, is probably one of the best films of 2023. So we've got the relationship between Vanessa Kirby and Joaquin Phoenix, which is Napoleon and Josephine. So they were great in this film, very believable. She's in prison at the start of the movie, and when they release a whole heap of prisoners, I think it's like 40,000 prisoners or something like that, when they get the royal family out of the way. It was very cool with her walking through the streets of France, and it's all in tatters. Very, very cool to look at up on the screen. So we see their relationship evolve over the course of the film, from them initially being together to being king and queen of France. But they've got a problem. They can't conceive, and they start to blame each other. So it was interesting to see how their relationship blossomed at one point, and then it went on a downward spiral throughout the film, with each other blaming the other that they can't fall pregnant. So very good acting between these two, and they really did make the film believable in terms of relationship between the famous conqueror and, of course, his queen, which was Josephine. He writes to her a lot through the movie as well, so it was very interesting to see how it all pans out with these two up on the screen. So with all Ridley Scott films, most of them aren't perfect. Some are very, very good. So this film does have its flaws. It's not particularly perfect. So there are some pacing issues with it. So we've got the immaculate looking battle scenes that are very, very cool to watch up on the screen. And then we go back to his normal life, Napoleon, that is, with his relationship between Josephine and dealing with all the politics at home. So it did feel slow in some parts. And when I say slow, it's not to say that the film gets boring. It just feels like it's a little bit choppy in terms of the editing and whatnot. But it will be interesting to see what it's all like with the 4-hour cut when it comes out on Apple TV. So everyone does a great role in this particular film. All the roles that they were assigned is very, very good to watch up on the screen. And when I left the cinema, I thought, yeah, look, the film was quite good. But when time rolls on, you start to think about it a bit more, and you start to like it and realize that this is probably one of the best films for 2023, despite the critics' scores on Rotten Tomatoes and whatnot. So let's go over the pros and the cons for Napoleon. So the pros and cons for Napoleon 2023. So the pros, the cinematography is immaculate to look at. So time has passed since Gladiator with Ridley Scott, and technology has improved. And when you do watch the film, it is very, very immersive in terms of the environments that he has set up, especially the battle scene on the ice and when they're in Russia as well. Very, very cool to watch. The acting is superb in it. I found everyone nailed their role, particularly Joaquin Phoenix and also Vanessa Kirby as well. The runtime on this version, 2 hours and 40 minutes, is quite fair. And the cons for this particular film, as I mentioned, does have some pacing issues, but I'm probably nitpicking at this 2 hour and 40 minute version of the film. So my verdict for Napoleon 2023, I will give it my number 1 rating, which is, if you can, go and see this at the cinema. I saw it on a VMAX screening at Event Cinema, and I gotta tell you, it sounded immaculate on the big screen and looked even better as well. So thank you for tuning in for my review for Napoleon, and as always, leaders on the Menji.
You are just a tiny little brute that is nothing without me.
All of Europe is uniting forces against me.
What's the outcome of this if you don't succeed?
Your Majesty, we are discovered. Good.
It's a trap!
I'm the first to admit when I make a mistake. I simply never do.
So there you have it, Napoleon, starring Joaquin Phoenix and directed by Ridley Scott. Cracker of a war and biopic. Thank you for tuning in to DMR as always. Cheers.